Hey folks, this is the Logitech G Cloud. It's a $300 Android tablet with built-in controls. The design of this device from the outside is really magnificent. It's comfortable to hold, it has good grips. The color scheme is really cool, right? Get the black, white, and yellow. I think it looks really nice. The buttons make a lot of sense, right? There's your home button. Here's like a specific button for the G Cloud Logitech services. Your volume rocker, the power switch even has a little bit of a yellow highlight underneath. This is your SD card reader. The triggers have this nice, it's not too harsh the way this feels, and it's just a nice comfortable ribbing on those triggers. Now the device itself is pretty thin and sleek, nice, just really nice to hold. Like, it's not too big. Here it is next to the Steam Deck, which is way heavier and thicker, right? But the Steam Deck also feels amazing because of that thickness and size. So yeah, the Steam Deck, I love it. It's $400 to start. It's readily available. So you might be wondering, why spend $300 on this? Now, I'm not going to keep this. I'm not. And if I had to choose between the two, I would not buy the G Cloud first. However, if you have disposable income and you're really into cloud gaming, this actually makes sense. I am using this app called, let's see, PS Play. It was $6, but what it does better than the native or regular Android-based PS Remote Play app is it allows you to use the built-in controls of the G Cloud for your remote play. And I'm pretty sure it's a secure app. It's gotten a lot of positive reviews, like thousands and thousands of purchases. It's been talked about by a lot of YouTubers for the purpose of playing the PS5 on the G Cloud. So I think it's a safe app, but you cannot take my word for it because I could be wrong. However, more importantly than that is, how does this thing run, right? So I'm playing right now. This is a New Game Plus of the Dead Space remake, and you can tell it's pretty dark, right? Like it's hard to see what's going on. That isn't the case for the game when I'm playing on my regular TV with my PS5. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but there might be a setting. Maybe I have to turn off adaptive brightness. I mean, I do have a light shining on this right now for the video, but even when I'm playing in a regularly lit room in the middle of the day, it's pretty dark. So that's been affecting my ability to enjoy the PS5 remote play on this device. But no regrets for buying the app, none yet, unless it does turn out to be some kind of bad app or they steal your password for PSN. Okay, so it runs pretty smoothly. When you're in a dogfight in Dead Space, I did find myself having some trouble with the controls. I think with the delay, there's a little bit of lag, as you can see, right? So with the delay plus the smaller screen size, it just wasn't ideal. Now, I played Dead Space 1, 2, and 3, the original games, on the Steam Deck from start to finish. I didn't have that problem. So from a remote play perspective, I think that there's still some work that needs to be done. My PS5 is connected over Wi-Fi, not Ethernet. This thing obviously over Wi-Fi 5, not Wi-Fi 6. So maybe eventually there'll be a version 2 that has Wi-Fi 6. There's more bandwidth and, or whatever speeds, and it runs better. I don't know. But for now, if you're considering this, you got to keep that in mind. Okay, so as I mentioned, the device is really well made, and it's easy to operate. It's intuitive interface. This is the interface that comes with the device. And as you can see, I have tried the PS Play app. I've tried doing some emailing on this. Don't recommend it. I also subscribe to the Xbox Cloud Gaming beta and to the GeForce Now service. So the GeForce Now service, if you have the ultimate subscription, which is expensive, it's like 15 or 20 bucks a month, you get access to a 4080 rig, which is really awesome. And when it works, it's really nice, man, like super nice. It'll pull in. So the way that GeForce Now works is that you have access to your games, right? Let me get logged in here. Okay, so Midnight Suns. So I played and finished Midnight Suns completely from my laptop, okay? In fact, I reviewed that laptop. It's the Lenovo Legion 7i with a 3080. It's an amazing experience on that thing. And the game ran pretty well. There were some ups and downs and dips and stuff like that, especially if there were a lot of bad guys in a fight. But when this thing works on the G Cloud, it's like unbelievable, right? You get access to your save files from Steam, but not every game will do that. It only works with some games, but many. So don't expect to be able to play. Dude, I don't need you to record my audio. Let me get logged into this thing. I think it displays my account information or something. And maybe it doesn't, I don't freaking remember. Okay, so it's launching. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get the game launching, right? If you're playing locally on your Steam Deck, it's not going to look as nice, but hey, at least it launches faster. You don't have to go through this preamble of getting to your virtual machine. So anyway, if you have this subscription, you get access to that 4080 and it looks really good. The device itself can output 1080p 60, which is amazing. It's really great, but it's almost only great on paper. So when you're actually playing, it's hard to distinguish that 1080p 60 through streaming compared to the 720 60, or sorry, 800p 60 of the Steam Deck. And I think that's because the screens are so small. And then there's more to it that's over my head, like in terms of the quality of the screens and stuff like that, like who makes them, and I don't know any of that kind of stuff, like anti-glare, yada, yada, yada. That's way over my head. But look, if you're really entrenched in cloud streaming, like look at this. This is going great, right? It loaded up, it took a little bit of time, and off we go. Now I'm in my home, so I imagine this is not going to work very well if you're traveling and you connect over your iPhone hotspot or something. That's probably not going to work very well, but look at this. I mean, that's pretty smooth. It's not as bright as I would like. I've got to figure that part out. I'll play with that in a moment, but the game is running great. Now, there's not a lot of demand for what I'm doing here, but one thing that's super cool is it's dead silent other than the music, right? There aren't any fans spinning up and going crazy like the Steam Deck does. This is something you can play comfortably. It doesn't get hot, doesn't get loud, as I mentioned. And if you have access to that 4080, man, GeForce Now, it works really well. Let me go ahead and close that. So as I mentioned, for a lot of games that it supports, it also has the access to your Steam cloud saves. But you can log into some other services too. I think you connect GOG and Epic, maybe those are the two. So you have access to those games too, but I'm not sure if the cloud saves work in that regard. A game like Diablo Immortal, it runs really slowly, really low settings. It's not a great experience. Steam Link, so if you want to pull up a game from your laptop, that works too. Like, this device has a lot to offer. It truly does. And if you're looking for something new to play with, and maybe you're into emulation, so you want to fire up like a Nintendo emulator, a Super Nintendo emulator, maybe as high up as a 64, I'm not 100% sure. This little device kind of just does it all. And if you're going to play those emulated games, then you don't even need internet access, right? You can play this from anywhere, just take it with you, get yourself a case, the official Logitech case I found on Amazon for 20 bucks. Not bad. But the problem is that not everybody is going to have that disposable income lying around and will want to have to choose between two devices. And that's kind of where I'm at, right? It's like every minute that I'm not playing my Steam Deck is kind of weird to me because the Steam Deck has so much more to offer and it can do all the things I showed you with the remote play. It's not ideal, right? But it's technically capable of doing it. One thing I think really makes this not a great fit for me is that this would be awesome with an Xbox. Xbox remote play, right there. It's you don't have to buy an app like this and pay $6 and all that stuff. This thing is sort of built for it, but I don't have an Xbox, so I'm not an Xbox guy. And so I think that's another reason why this isn't really aimed at me. In fact, this came preloaded with the Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta. I think maybe part of the reason Logitech haven't tried to make this work with the PlayStation is you make the controls with the PlayStation might be because of some kind of exclusivity or agreement they have with Microsoft. I have no idea, but it's kind of a shame that this isn't something you can buy for the PlayStation, which is really a criticism of Sony, not Logitech, because Logitech went out of the way to make a device. Sony, they've walked away since the Vita, which is freaking Vita is so good. Okay, so I know I didn't do like a solid tour of this device or anything. Oops. Well, good thing I'm returning it. But I think the real conversation here is about what this is meant to do and if it's good at doing it. And like I said, it's meant for the cloud and remote play, and it's totally capable, but there are those moments where you're in a dogfight and it's just the delay just makes it hard to be in that dogfight and survive. Or you want to access a certain game, right? So you go to your GeForce Now to fire up that game from Steam and you realize, shoot, it's not supported by GeForce Now. Great. Or maybe you don't want to pay $20 a month or whatever it is for that top tier access to the 4080, And so you go for like an entry level tier, which is still probably $10 a month. And then at that point, it's sort of like, okay, I buy the game and I pay for the service, and then I gotta wait for a server, and then it's not gonna look as good as a 4080. Why not just buy a laptop or buy a Steam Deck or buy a GPD or something like that, or whatever these Chinese handhelds are. So I know this hasn't been a very organized video, but I just wanted to get it all out there because this is an interesting device that doesn't really have a purpose unless you really fit a niche. And that niche is you're a cloud gamer. Straight up, you don't own a Steam Deck, you're just a cloud gamer. And from that perspective, like I said, the hardware is nice on the outside, it's very comfortable, but yeah, not for me, and that's okay. All right, I hope you found this helpful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.